Hello, good evening, all of you. Hope most of you might have known subject verb agreement would always help each individual to understand how this is quite important for most competitive examinations to be cracked up when questions appear on this important topic. If you observe, subject always agrees with the verb. When a sentence is to be constructed, it's quite important how the verb that is framed as per the subject's number matters a lot. Since it is highly essential that the verb makes a sentence, it always depends on how the subject that comes along with it. So it's always plural or singular sense is decided. So this lesson, which always with its exercises to help you go further in cracking any verbal examination effectively. Subject verb agreement. Subject is the doer of an action. A verb is an action itself. Always the verb depends on the subject of a sentence. And the verb agrees with the subject's number always. Hence, this topic is an interesting one for the discussion. Hope so often we frame sentences with wrong verbs sometimes with the wrong number that we usually make to frame a sentence with its subject. So in this lesson, we discuss some of the important rules for subject verb agreement. If you take up rule 1, a verb that agrees with its subject and its number. A verb that agrees with its subject and its number. I think you all might have understood. A verb always agrees with its subject. Say, car is a subject, it is singular. Ravi is a subject of a sentence, it is singular. So similarly, when you take verb that always agrees with its number, a singular subject always takes a plural verb, we call it. Generally, it is verb never have numbers, but of course, to easily remember, it's important. He, she, it being singular pronouns, they always take verb with yes or yes in its ending. So such a way, I'll take you forward in understanding this rule with some of the examples. You can observe singular subjects always take singular verbs. If you can understand, the car stays in the garage, and you can, if this sentence that you seriously observe, The car is a singular subject, and stay is the verb. It takes yes, because car is a singular subject. Singular subject always takes verb with yes in its end. Since yes that adds to any word, it might make the sense of plural. So people always say verb in plural for a singular subject. This is just a rough idea, keep in mind. You can also see the flower smells good. Yeah, exactly. The flower is a singular subject. It takes verb with its s, so the flower smells good. It's an old saying, opposite attracts. So remember, opposites they attract. The rule for singular and plural verbs is just the opposite of the rule for singular and plural nouns. Remember, when you match subject and verbs, you might guess that stays and smells are plural verbs because they end in yes. They aren't, because both stays and smells are singular verbs only. So they follow singular subjects. Such a way, rule number one allows us to understand quickly a verb that agrees with its subject and number. Keep in mind, singular subjects always take singular verbs. Singular verb is the verb that always follows with yes or yes. Remember, it is quite opposite to noun. Generally, nouns, when you wanted to pluralize, you can add yes. When you wanted to pluralize verbs, you don't add anything. When you wanted to singularize the verb, you need to add s for it. And I'll take you down to rule number two. Thanks for many viewers and visitors while I'm giving this lecture on live. We have Lokesh, we have Manikanta Vedula. Thank you, Saujanya. We have Surya Narayana Seshapu. Thank you. Sudhir Seshapu. Very good evening, all of you. And now, rule two. The number of the subject, that is either singular or plural, is not changed by words that come between the subject and the verb. This is highly a tricky trap for all of us. Sometimes the subject that comes with its complement, the subject that comes with its description. So often we get confused. The subject that comes with its complement always troubles us to misunderstand the subject's number. So the rule number two is to make us understand the number of the subject is not changed by the words that come in between or the words that follow the noun. If you can see one of the eggs, look at here, one is the subject, one of the eggs, if you see. Eggs, though, of the eggs, there are so many words that followed by the the noun one. These are all not important for us. For example, of the eggs is not important for us. It is important one. One is singular. So the singular noun takes singular verb only. So is broken. The trap is here. Most of us understand or misunderstand. Eggs is subject here. Eggs looks plural. So we always write one of the eggs are broken. Basically, you make a mistake. And in the examinations, this is a question appearing to test your ability, how you are supplying a verb for this kind of a subject. So the rule number two is to be so often remembered by all of you is one of the eggs is a singular. One of the books is one as a subject we need to treat it. One of my friends, one of my classmates, one of my books. Look at all these important phrases will help you understand one as a subject, not of the eggs. All right? Mentally, remember You need to omit the prepositional phrase. You know, a girl sits in the classroom. Uh, a- yeah, a man with two hands. A man with one eye. If you can see, with one eye, with two hands, these are prepositional phrases. You are supposed to avoid them well. So this is the rule two. And now there is a quick exercise for you. Pick out the correct verb in each of the sentences below. So here I am helping you to take up some model questions. You know, if you can get ready, if you also can drop your answers on the chat box directly in YouTube, I'll be happy. Uh, the first question is, your friend talk or talks too much? The second is, the man with the roses look or looks? I'm waiting for the answers. You also have, the man with roses look or looks like your brother? Yeah, thanks, Tanuja. The first answer she has given talks. Very good. Your friend talks. Let's anyway see the answers at the end of the questions. If you can quickly, Tanuja and Sudhir. Sudhir also started writing something. Yeah, if you can write. Yeah, Tanuja Sarugudi also has mentioned a second answer as looks, because the man with the roses. Yeah. Sahitya Gandriti said swims. It's very interesting. Women in the pool. Swims or swim? It's more important. In the pool, you separate. Gandriti Sahitya. Kindly see that in the pool, prepositional phrase, rule two, when you avoid the prepositional phrase, if you can observe the women, yeah, exactly. The women is singular or plural? Yeah, singular. Women is singular, plural. So plural takes only verb swim, not yes. The women swim. I hope that is the answer. Anyway, in the answers we can find out. Yeah, Bill drives a cab. Bill is a singular. So singular subject always takes the verb with yes ending. Very good. Bill drives a cab. Thank you. Sahitya, you wrote well. And Tanuja, you also wrote well. The football players. The football players. Um, the football players, here we take players as noun, right? Players is plural. Naturally, run is the right answer. Tanuja, you did well. Yeah, Pratik Verma, you wrote Bill drive a cab, but you know, Bill drives a car. That is the right answer. Thank you. And then the red haired lady in the fur hat. I think a lot of trapping is there. What is the subject that you wanted to take? That red hair, that red hair. Yeah, football players run is the right answer. The red haired lady in the fur hat. What is the subject here? Red haired lady. Lady is the subject there. Lady is singular. Okay. Lives is the right answer. Absolutely. Sagar, you mentioned it very well. He cooks dinner for his family. Cooks. Yeah. The boy walks to school every day. The boys, boys is a plural subject. As we know, the first rule has suggested our verb that depends on the subject that is given. Yeah, exactly. He cooks, that is the right answer. The boys walk. Yeah, somebody wrote it. Saumya Pasupati said cooks. It's wonderful. The weather on the coast appear or appears? Yeah, appears. Because on the coast, rule number two suggested, on the coast is a prepositional phrase, and then the weather is the subject, weather is singular. The boys walk is right, and the weather is singular, so appears. The center on the basketball team, the center on the basketball team, as rule 2 suggested, all of us to remove this prepositional phrase and then see the subject. The subject's number is understood. The center is one is singular. So singular takes the plural verb. So the center on the basketball team bounces the ball too high. Absolutely. Soumya Pasumati did it well. I think these are all the answers. Hope you can enjoy all your answers, whether that is right or not. If you can watch out the screen. On screen, I have left the answers. The first question, your friend talks too much. Yeah, the man with the roses looks well, like your brother. The women in the pool swim well. Bill drives a cab. Hope all of you could have understood. The answers that you have given are absolutely right based on the first two rules. If you can recap the first two rules, if you can simply leave on the chat box the first two rules of what you have understood. You must have already understood. The first rule is about the subject number, the verb that depends on the subject number. If it is singular, the verb takes yes or yes. If it is plural, the verb that comes as it is. Similarly, rule number two that talks about the subject that comes with the prepositional phrase, like one of the eggs is prepositional phrase. Here, eggs is not subject. One is the subject. One is singular. So slowly I'll take you to rule number three. Some subjects always take a singular verb, even though the meaning may seem plural. Yeah, each one of you have to understand seriously. Some subjects always take singular verb because they seem to be plural, they seem to be singular, but they seem to be plural. Their verb always singular. Let's see some of the examples you can understand. If you can see each, someone, either, anyone, neither, nobody. If you can observe one, somebody, quickly, if you can see, they never be any way subjects with plural idea. These are having singular ideas. Remember, each, it is open. Everybody knows each is one. Someone, it's already one. Anyone, it's already one. Nobody one. Somebody one. Anybody one. Everybody one. Similarly, neither. Neither of two. No one of the two, not any one of the two. So one again there. One is one. No one is one. Everyone is one. So all these subjects, they are singulars. Remember, they always take singular words. But they trap you well. Someone in the game, it is very clear, was. Okay. Similarly, neither of the men, remember it's not or, neither of the men. Men is the trap here. Men here, neither of the men means no one of the two men present over there. So where you need to add singular verb there. Hope rule number three is understood. And now let's get into rule number four. The words mentioned beside may be singular, not plural, depending upon their use in a sentence. It's more important. Remember, the words mentioned beside of the subject may be singular or not plural, singular or plural, depending on their use in a sentence. Keep in mind, there are some examples I'm giving it to you. When some that comes, it depends on its words that it has, either sides. Maybe sometimes proposes singular sense, sometimes it proposes plural sense also. Any, the same, all the same, most. Sometimes, some looks like a plural, all sometimes looks like a singular, though in its what you call sense it looks plural, it may not really gives the sense of a plural idea. And now let's see. Most of the news, news is here most important. News, though it looks plural, Most of the news, most of the news is much part of the news that is believed to be singular, so it takes a singular verb is. Similarly, we have most of the flowers were yellow. Okay, most of the flowers, the same most with the news when it has come, it has sensed singular sense. So is a singular verb is taken. Whereas most of the flowers, most of the flowers, already flowers plural anyway, most of the flowers, among all those flowers, most of the flowers were or are in yellow color. So I think you must have noticed both the rules well. you know some words, they always take singular verbs, and some words, though they look like singular, sometimes they act like plural, and they look like singular, they also act like plural. So keep in mind, some, any, all, most, these never come alone with their meaning. It's more important. You need to keep in mind, most of the news is good here, in which most, that reflects the much part of the news. So singular. Like that, you keep in mind, singular or plural, the words that come either sides of it will decide with the words some, any, all, most. Keep that in mind. Now let's quickly go looking into examples, and then your time now has come to answer quickly. Each of the girls, each of the girls in these questions, you have each of the girls. Girls is plural, whereas each of the girls, if you can take up each, is the subject. So each will talk about singular. So each of the girls looks. Everybody was or were asked to remain quiet. Everybody, rule number 3 talks about was singular. Neither of the men, rule number 4, that talks about neither of the men. Okay, rule number 3 only talked about it. Neither of the men is not any one of the men. Okay, so it is singular again. Hope friends who are already on live could answer that well. So neither of the men. Remember, it is a trap. Men is looking plural. Still, neither of the men resembles the meaning of not any one of the two men. Is here yet. Um, each of the girls ready to leave. Each of the girls, each is singular again, no doubt in it. Is each of the girls ready to leave? Okay. Several of the sheep, when you take up several is the subject here. So several is plural, so it takes are. Okay, some members of the faculty, some here, though some generally used for singular sense here and there. Here, some members of the faculty. Faculty is singular. Still, some members of the faculty, some members is plural, so it takes are. Okay, nobody in the class, nobody, look at nobody is singular. It takes singular verb. So nobody in the class has the answer. Each of the girls observe or observes. When you take each of the girls, each of 2 girls or 3 girls or 10 girls, so each is a singular, so it takes observes. Similarly, all of the milk is gone. All of the milk is gone. All is plural altogether. Much part of the milk, or all milk that is put there. So all is plural. All of the milk are gone. Similarly, most of the seats were taken. Okay, most of the seats is plural. So if you can see, there are answers given. Looks. If you can take was. If you also can take is. Yeah, all of these you can check happily with your answers. So quickly, I can wrap up this lecture for today, and its subsequent lecture will follow tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Shortly, I can give you the live link. So 3 and 4 rules will talk about how your what you call how your um, uh, illustration understands. Rule number 3 that talks about singular subjects. They look plural, but they always take singular sense. So singular verb is to be supplied. Some words like some, any, all, these words, when they are used with some of the words, their sense of singularity will take up. So, such a way will end up for today. And now I thank you all for your patience in understanding first 4 rules. And shortly, by tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I'll leave you another link for making you understand importance of subject verb agreement in forthcoming competitive exams. Thank you. Namaste. It's me, your Haribabu.